This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Leaders at the UW Milwaukee say losing federal pandemic money is the reason why they're closing their two-year branch campus in Waukesha. Chancellor Mark Moen says the cost of operations is going up, but revenue has been cut in half. Waukesha will be the fifth two-year branch campus to close in Wisconsin at the end of the spring semester next year. The Wisconsin Senate meets for the final scheduled time of the session today. Some of the bills expected to pass are a ban on so-called diversity loyalty pledges at state universities, easing immunization requirements at state universities, and clamping down on human trafficking. A package of proposed new laws aims to make life safer for judges and justices in Wisconsin. The state Senate votes today. Waushara County Judge Guy Dutcher says it's a start.
I will applaud the legislature and the governor for taking a significant step in recognizing the vulnerability of the decision makers in the third branch of government, but much more still needs to be done.
Dutcher with WISN TV's Up Front, 142 judges and justices got threats last year. Governor Evers wants another $125 million to help Wisconsin communities hit hardest by PFAS pollution. He says he plans to veto a Republican bill with that much money for PFAS cleanup, but he also says the bill strips too much enforcement power from regulators. Republican lawmakers are approving a shortened list of instructional materials for students to learn reading in Wisconsin next year. The legislature's Joint Finance Committee voted along party lines for 4 curricula. The Department of Public Instruction had proposed 11. A new state law requires methods for teaching reading that stress phonics. More than 1,000 Americans still die from COVID-19 each week, but now the CDC says people who test positive no longer have to isolate. Krista Durkiza is with the advocacy group Marked by COVID.
These types of changes undermine the severity of what we continue to face, so it's critically important that we keep this on the forefront.
As many as 20 million Americans live with long COVID, often with debilitating symptoms. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. A Duluth hospital is going eco-friendly with its heating system. St. Luke's Hospital officials have announced that they have saved nearly $6,300 with their new heating system this January compared to the year before. A $7 million state grant helped the hospital make the change, which is more eco-friendly, cheaper, and heats the hospital more effectively. Officials say not only does it save the hospital money that can now be used elsewhere, but it creates a more comfortable environment for patients and staff. A college in Ashland is asking for urgent community help or it will be forced to close. According to a Northern News Now report, Northland College officials say the Ashland school needs to raise $12 million by April 3rd or they'll be forced to begin the closure process at the end of the year. The school is the first environmentally focused liberal arts institution in the country. Officials say declining enrollment, the rising cost of higher education, and decreased financial support have contributed to the financial issues. Pizza isn't the only thing Domino's is delivering in Duluth. According to a Northern News Now report, Domino's Plowing for Pizza campaign has selected Duluth to receive a $25,000 snow plowing grant after a nomination campaign on the program's website. City officials say they plan to use the grant funding on a tablet-based system to give plow operators better access to route instructions. Domino's will award a total of $500,000 of Plowing for Pizza grant funding across 20 different cities. The Superior National Forest is looking for some federal funding to minimize the impact of wildfires. The United States Department of Agriculture has made an additional $100 million available for states to expand their wildfire risk reduction program. Amid a warm, snowless winter that has experts worried about an early wildfire season, the Superior National Forest applied for $20 million of funding. A USDA survey of the forest found almost 200,000 acres are at a high risk for wildfires. A significant gas leak in Duluth has prompted an investigation by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. According to a Fox 21 report, there was a 1,400-gallon spill at the shortstop on East Superior Street in Duluth on Wednesday. The MPCA is looking for the cause of the spill and managing the cleanup and say there is no further risk to the public. The Duluth Fire Department responded to the spill with trucks and a hazmat team and a few public works and utilities staffers. The MPCA is excavating the affected soil. Western Wisconsin could be getting some internet upgrades thanks to a grant program announced by Governor Tony Evers. Just over $43 million in federal funding will be used to expand broadband access across the state. Multiple projects across the western Wisconsin area have been awarded some of the grant money, with Douglas, Bayfield, Dunn, and Barron County being awarded funding for multiple projects. The projects could bring reliable high-speed internet to about 16,000 homes and businesses. Chester Bowl has officially closed in Duluth after a rough season of unusually warm winter weather. According to a Fox 21 report, Chester Bowl officials said they had to make their own snow more than twice as often this year because the weather just wasn't cooperating. Amid the challenges they faced, Chester Bowl employees say despite the short season, the turnout from skiers and snowboarders was still pretty good. They'll now turn their attention to preparing Chester Bowl for summer camp and their concert series. Teachers from the Lake Superior School District are still fighting for pay raises amid a tough budget situation for the district. According to a Northern News Now report, the district's most recent offer included a 4% pay raise in the first year and a 2% pay raise the next year, but would eliminate compensation time teachers get for working more than 40 hours in a week. District officials say they're actively looking to give the teachers more money, but they're facing a number of financial issues with a tight budget. And that's what you need to know. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
It's the Brewers and the Cubs. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers and Chicago Cubs face off again. This time at Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona. Brewers outfielder Garrett Mitchell back after sliding headfirst into third base last year, requiring shoulder surgery.
It was tough. Obviously not being out there every day with the team is not always the easiest, but I was able to get through it. That's kind of what I used the injury as, so it's like just kind of treating each day as a new opportunity to get a little bit better and try to get back out there.
NFL, the Packers making moves in free agency. They signed Raiders running back Josh Jacobs to a 4-year deal worth $48 million. On defense, they added Giants safety Xavier McKinney with a 4-year contract worth $68 million, an average of $17 million per year. The Packers saying goodbye to running back Aaron Jones and left tackle David Bakhtiari. GM Brian Gutekunst releasing a statement thanking them both for their time in Green Bay. College basketball, the Wisconsin Badgers headed to Minneapolis for the Big Ten tournament. As the number 5 seed, they host either Maryland or Rutgers Thursday afternoon. NBA, the Bucks wrap up their West Coast trip tonight against the Kings in Sacramento. Doc Rivers was asked,
"What do you think as far as being appointed in this position as the head coach of Milwaukee? What is your philosophy?"
Well, the philosophy is win.
Yes.
That's why you jump into something like this. But it was with the right group of guys, honestly. Again, I keep using the words adults, very mature, and at a place where they all want to win. If we can get it right, which I think we will, I believe that, then we're going to be very tough to beat.
That's Bucks head coach Doc Rivers. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On the Showbiz Beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. The 2024 Oscars are in the books, and it really was a great year for movies. But as usual, the weirdest clothes you've ever seen and would never wear were on display in force. John Cena took the stage in Birkenstocks and a piece of cardboard. Most people probably couldn't even remember what Oscar he was presenting and were focused on how much room there was to spare behind the cardboard and John Cena Jr. The award was for Best Costume Design. Get it? Cena somehow looked more presentable than pop star Ariana Grande, who wore a dress designed by Bubble Yum. Her outfit had sleeves so puffy and big they had their own area code. It was a definite attention getter and probably seemed like a great idea until she left the theater and a gust of wind carried her all the way to Orange County. She was found safe, the sleeves were deflated, and she was returned to Hollywood, but she did miss all the after parties. The sleeves have a new gig covering the infield at Dodger Stadium during rain delays. 2024's big Oscar winners Sunday night included Best Actress Emma Stone for the film Poor Things, Best Actor Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, Best Supporting Actor Robert Downey Jr. also for Oppenheimer, Best Supporting Actress Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, Best Director Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, and Oppenheimer also took home Best Picture. One of the night's highlights included a Mean Girl tweet, which was directed at host Jimmy Kimmel from Donald Trump. Kimmel read the tweet out loud once he realized that the former president set him up beautifully and better than any comedy writer ever could have. The message insinuated that Kimmel was the worst host ever, to which he responded, "I'm surprised you're up this late. Isn't it past your jail time?" As you can imagine, the crowd roared. Walked into that one. It's an election season off-screen and on. For those of you who are fans of Oscar-nominated director Alexander Payne, you have something to look forward to. Payne announced he will direct Tracy Flick Can't Win, a sequel to his critically acclaimed comedy Election from 1999. Reese Witherspoon has signed on, and Payne would like Matthew Broderick, who played opposite Witherspoon, but there is no news yet on the leading man front. Payne's most recent film Holdovers was nominated for Best Picture at this year's Oscars. Speaking of the Oscars, I'm not really a fashion guy, but I never was a fan of the men's suit look that utilized the skinny jean flood pant vibe. However, after seeing what dudes wore at this year's Academy Awards, I totally retract. Watching grown men take the stage in what could only be described as mom jeans with bell bottoms, I say, bring back the floods. Just how belly were the bottoms? It looked like these guys were smuggling actual bells. Not to mention, if there is ever an actual flood, they're all goners. Maybe I am a fashion guy after all. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, every night between 7 and 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Mostly sunny and mild again today. We'll get to around 67 for a high this afternoon with wind out of the northwest at around 5 to 15. Tonight, partly cloudy, 34. Tomorrow, some sun in the morning, then becoming mostly cloudy, 63. We could see some rain tomorrow night into Thursday. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Temperature now 41.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio.